What's up, everybody? Citizen Kimberly here, and it's time for another episode of Netflix and Chop. Today's feature we're going to be viewing in the spirit of Halloween is a film called I Am a Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. The film is told from the point of view of the main character, Lily Saylor, who's an in-home care hospice nurse who's been hired to take care of a retired author named Iris Bloom. Iris Bloom has previously written stories about a woman named Polly. And so through this film we get to figure out and find out exactly who this woman named Polly is, since Iris, the author, keeps referring to the main character, Lily Saylor, as Polly. The film's setting, although they don't give a particular time, I would guess is in between the late 1960s, early 1970s. The set design was immaculately done. The house, of course, is huge and kind of an stately type house, and it is creepy. So already we've set the tone for this film to creep us out. Now, upon watching this, I wasn't quite sure, although I was quite interested because the dialogue in the film had the temper and the tempo of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. I definitely feel like the film took me in a different direction from what I was expecting it to. I really appreciated the fact that it had very long, slow, still shots, almost like watching a moving painting, because the set design was done immaculately well. So while the camera is slowly creeping along the dimly lit hallways and kind of giving us a slow panoramic view of the kitchen area, I was definitely feeling like creeped out. At first, while viewing the film, you might be like, where is this going? But since the still shots create such a feeling of intensity just by being there, I definitely think the writer and director of the film took cues from old films like When a Stranger Calls. This is not a film that would be classified as gory or bloody. If anything, it's a really poetic film. It's more or less like a ghost story within a ghost story. I wouldn't recommend it if you're someone who likes action to jump in front of your face, although I will say there were some significant jump scares in this film. And I think that's possible because they made everything so still, so when something did happen, your eye is immediately drawn to it and your heart kind of does jump. One thing that I did appreciate about this film was the soundtrack. As we all know, horror lovers alike all recognize the fact that a soundtrack to a horror movie can either make or break it. Personally, I prefer the type of soundtrack that was played in this film, which was an ambient, light screeching violins. It really added to the presence and the overall tone of the film, just the intensity and the building grief that was being created with just the soundtrack. It totally was impressive. I'm really happy that that happened because there are a lot of horror films today that have a soundtrack. They have, they'll have a decent story, but a crappy soundtrack, and it ruins the movie. So this film definitely varies from that formula. If you're into eerie, slow momentum ghost stories, then this is definitely the story for you. I only had one problem with the film, and that was with the context of how the actual ghost story manifested, because I have to be very careful because I don't want to give away the entire plot of the film. If you do view this film, I feel like you'll catch this based on this one clue. There is kind of a mix-up as to how the ghost has manifested itself. Like, is the ghost a baby? Or is the ghost a woman? Was the ghost killed by her husband? Or is it the ghost of a dead baby? So I'm going to leave you with that kind of ominous what is going on question that perhaps you might have an answer for. And if you do, I would really like for you to leave it in the comments down below, because I'm always looking for answers. But I would recommend watching this film. It is a Netflix original, and I will say that I was impressed by Netflix's attempt at giving us a horror movie, because we know that sometimes Netflix, at least the online internet service, doesn't serve us the best. So I hope you have a super scary Halloween, but in a good way, not scary in a bad way, and watch some good horror movies. Scare yourself. I hope you all enjoyed this video. As I've said previously, horror is my favorite genre. And until the next time, I will see you all later. And don't forget to have fun.